Welcome to the F Word in Local Government. Are you using Facebook effectively in an online world? My name is Sarah Campbell, and I'm the Assistant Town Manager for the Town of Orange Park. Orange Park, not to be confused with Port Orange, Orange City, Orange Dale, or Orange County, is a suburb of Jacksonville. We are immediately adjacent to Jacksonville. We have 8,500 residents in less than a 4 square mile area. I have been with the town for 8 years as clerk and assistant town manager. In Orange Park, one of my roles is to oversee communications, including social media for the town. The town uses Facebook, Twitter, and occasionally Instagram. Personally, I'm an avid social media user as well. I have been on Facebook for 7 years, mostly to keep up with friends from junior high who still act like it, and family that is scattered across the planet. I use Twitter to spy on my children's activities. I use Instagram to post photos with wrinkles filtered out. And I use Snapchat to message my sisters in an environment where our parents, who are both on Facebook, can't see. Can I get a show of hands? How many cities are using Facebook for city business? My research indicates only about blank of Florida's 412 cities currently have a Facebook page. How do you feel when you hear the word Facebook? What comes to mind? Does it make you cringe? Does it make you wonder who's posting right now and why aren't they working? Does it make you question the future of the human race? I'd like to invite you to set aside any pre-existing thoughts you have about Facebook. I'd like to ask you some different questions now. Does your city struggle with engagement? Do you spend money for advertising? Have you experienced frustration from your elected body regarding outreach? What if Facebook made you a better manager? My goal is to share with you an innovative concept to use when considering Facebook and a few success stories we've had in Orange Park that changed the way we think about reaching our community. How high is your FQ? No, not FU, FQ. You probably have not heard of FQ because it's something I just made up. FQ is your Facebook quotient. It's sort of like an IQ, but it tells us how effectively you are using Facebook. In government, unlike other businesses, we know exactly how many customers we have. It's our population. This makes the effectiveness of Facebook reach much easier to track when thinking about your population as a baseline. And because Facebook tells us exactly how many people we are reaching, the two are very easy to compare. To calculate your FQ, take your page likes on Facebook and divide by the population of your community. For Orange Park, our Facebook page likes are at 8279. Divided by our population of 8,510, that gives us an FQ of 0.97. Not too shabby. Our following on Facebook is nearly as high as our population. For background, I started the town's Facebook page in March of 2011. It had grown to 3,600 likes by December of 2014. We have a current following of 8,279 in December of 2016. Before I get into my examples, I'd like to share with you the anatomy of a Facebook post. If you are not the page administrator, you may never have seen these sections. This is a post we did in December sharing a parks survey from our friends at the county. The first metric I want to point out is post likes. In this example, 19 people loved or liked what we were saying. They can also select from sad, angry, or surprised as other emoticon options. On this side, we have the comments and shares. 6 people commented directly on our post, and another 33 shared our post on their own page. My favorite metric, however, is the reach. Reach tells us how many people had this post show up in their newsfeed, either because they like our page or because someone they follow liked, commented, or shared our post. This is the number that I like to use for understanding how effective our messaging is. I'd like to share 3 examples with you of posts that we have used, and using the FQ as a barometer of sorts, talk about the success of each one. The first post shows our commitment to community. We have a very strong special events program. Because we do not have a centralized shopping or dining district, and because all of our waterfront is residential, our council, by way of a citizen committee recommendation, has emphasized special events as a way to unify our community. I'll be sharing more about our events program during the session, to festival or not. The fire department does a great job of decorating their trucks and inviting Santa down for one night in December. Together they travel up and down every street in the town. So this post was to advertise our annual Santa Fire Truck Parade. It says, "You know who's coming on Friday night, right? Santa! Join us for the annual Fire Truck Parade. This time we come to you. Listen for that jolly old elf coming to your neighborhood sometime after sunset. More details here." And then a link to our website with the parade route and times. This post was our first really big reach. The reach from this single post was 13,256. It was probably the first time we reached an audience larger than our population. 13,000 divided by 8510 gives us an FQ of 1.56. For us, traditional advertising for an event like this would have been a website message, an ad in the weekly county paper, and possibly flyers dropped off at the local elementary schools. This post cost $0 and reached far more households. We have grown our audience 220% in 2 years with this consistent message. We have fun things to do here. We post all of our events, our meetings, workshops, everything on Facebook. You know, sometimes life is just funny. When I first started at Town Hall, someone told me I should write down some of the crazy things that happen, and over a career, would probably be able to write a book. Like this story, when someone tried to drive over an open ditch during an ongoing construction project. It was a Saturday morning, so when the Public Works Director sent me this picture, I could not help but notice the Dukes of Hazzard-like similarities. Thankfully, no one was hurt, so we had a little fun. The post reads, "Dukes of Hazzard fans, do not attempt to jump the ditch on Plainfield Avenue. You will not make it. The police will come, neighbors will point and stare, towing companies will scratch their heads. Your rental car company will be really angry. It's not a happy time. Be safe out there, folks." Surprisingly, a lot of people agreed with me. This post reached 46,697 people. It was shared more than 300 times. That really blew us away. When compared to our population, the FQ comes out to 5.49. Our audience grew again with this post. Sometimes our online presence is just for fun. We've had a Guess Whose Desk contest and 80s flashback pictures of staff. Facebook does not have to be all business, even for government. Have you ever seen the Facebook page for the Bangor, Maine Police Department? I encourage you to check it out if you want a good laugh in local government. The Bangor PD Facebook page has over 185,000 likes, but the population of Bangor is only 32,000. That's an FQ of 5.7. My point is that our citizens are real people, and so are we. There is no reason not to share a laugh together. If we had sad news to share, we would share that too. And forget about traditional media when it comes to stuff like this. You might hear some news of the weird on the radio, but who out there in the traditional media is really trying to brighten our days? My final example is from this past October. This post shows that we mean business. Local government is large and in charge when it comes to severe weather in Florida. That could not have been more apparent than during Hurricane Matthew. When our county issued an evacuation order for certain zones, we were able to put the word out on Facebook moments after the conference call ended. It says, Clay County Emergency Operations Center has called for an evacuation of zones A and B in Clay County by 1 p.m. tomorrow. Photo below shows Zone A in red for Orange Park. This includes River Road, Doctors Lake frontage, and Holly Point East and West neighborhoods. Police will be doing door-to-door notifications tomorrow. Now this was about 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon before the storm. The order was for everyone to evacuate before 1 p.m. the next day, Thursday. After the post, we all went home Wednesday night thinking it was our last full night of sleep before the storm. Boy, was I wrong. That little post made a big impact. Remember that the last time major hurricanes crossed Florida in 2004 and 2005, Facebook was not yet available to the public. It was still in its formative years as a Harvard-only site. This was our first test of using social media during severe weather. My phone started blowing up on my way home, and 5 hours later, I apologetically signed off for the night, promising to answer more questions in the morning. The reach for this post, 247,447. Divided by 8510, that's an FQ of 29.08. That's larger than the population of our county itself. In an emergency situation, people are hungry for information. The county had no social media presence. Local news was not going to be on until 11, and forget about newspaper coverage. Your residents have less than 24 hours to get out of their homes. Who is going to tell them? You are. Thankfully, Orange Park had only tree damage, minor flooding, and no injuries. I think 2 homes were completely destroyed by trees. But the most important message is that we were able to reach our residents when it counted. The lesson we learned from this post: be prepared to respond, especially when no one else is. We also share water main breaks, road closures, and emergency public safety activity on our page. We know our residents are seeing and talking about what's going on in their neighborhood already. Shouldn't they get their information from us? There are a couple of miscellaneous topics we should touch on. Number 1, know your audience. Use audience insights. Insights are all of the demographics that Facebook tracks about your audience. They are provided by Facebook and are easily accessible. For instance, we know that 75% of our audience are women between the ages of 25 and 65, and they are mostly online between 7 and 9 p.m. We can tailor our message to them and time it for peak outreach. What about public records? Don't let your clerk freak out. I know there are vendors who can provide public record archiving of your social media. You can probably visit with some here this week. Overall, we have found this fairly easy to manage. Most of the messages we post are transitory in nature, meaning they expire. We are not posting documents that have significant retention requirements to social media. When a conversation with a resident is going down the tubes, take a screenshot of it. The picture is then preserved regardless of if someone later deletes their comments. Number 3, be consistent. If you are going to use it for messaging, use it all the time. And respond to questions quickly. You will be graded on that piece. Facebook tracks how quickly you respond to people and publicizes that to your followers. Our current response rate is 2 hours. Our followers know roughly how quickly we will get back to them. Posts can be scheduled in advance. I like to create all of my council meeting announcements on one day in January. They are pre-programmed for the rest of the year. I also want to mention that we have 3 to 4 people who access our town Facebook page. No one does this full time, but several people have access in order to get the messaging out when it's needed. And fourth, think outside the box. Just start with, what does your city do best? And then build on that. Lastly, if Florida cities were ranked by their FQ instead of by their population, the top 10 rankings would look like this. Number 1, blank. Number 2, blank. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about social media.